raise your hand. Vincent, you home? Mr. Vincent has. Has he?
Yeah.
Why, what is it? He said he lived in a funeral home. Explain.
God of the underworld.
God of the underworld.
Yeah.
Osiris is. What's that mean?
God of death.
Huh?
Wait,
Hold on. Sit up and speak loud. Everybody can hear you. You seem very knowledgeable about Osiris. Okay, so explain to everybody out here.
He's the king of the underworld in Egypt times.
During Egyptian times, yeah. And it was his responsibility to do. Louder.
Playing funerals.
Plan funerals? I don't know that he planned funerals.
Kind of throw, or kind of, how do I say this?
Would he make decisions on
Yeah,
people? What
Yeah.
kind of decisions?
like whether they would, go to the underworld or go to the afterlife.
How did he make those decisions? What information did he use to determine to make those decisions?
Did he use the things they had done in life, like as pretty much like Christians do? Like, let's say they might have a Christian elders and then there's hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's pretty much what he was doing, except he was.
I like what you're doing. You're thinking. You're making a correlation there. Okay. Most people in here understand Christianity. Yes or no? Probably. I'll put this back up. Anybody go to a church? It's a Baptist church, a Methodist church, a Catholic church, Presbyterian, Pentecostal, Church of Christ, Church of God. You go to any of those, raise your hand. Okay. I give them a pile. Let's see who's in it. Okay. Or have gone. So that's Christianity. Okay. And so you can make that correlation like Mr. Heath was, that there are a couple different places that you can go. Some have maybe more than two, okay, in that belief system. But as that same correlation goes in Christianity, ancient Egypt had two places. And the person that made that decision was Osiris. If you look up at our funeral scene, it was the blue-faced guy up there at the end that made that decision, okay, through information and deeds done. And this whole, this is called the funeral scene, and you'll see it more than once. This funeral scene kind of depicts the process of what you do as an Egyptian to determine where you're going to go and help him on his decision making, okay? And we're going to explain that whole process up there. Right now it looks like a bunch of figures and animals, and you have the weights and balances there to determine, you know, which side tips where you may go or where you may not get to go. Yes?
I have a question about that. What is that thing that them two guys are standing on?
Okay, so that's a lot of good questions, and when we get to that, we're going to explain all that, okay? So instead of just explaining one part now, then one part later to where you may forget, when we get to that scene, we're going to explain all of it, all right? Okay, we got a little bit to hit first, but thank you, Mr. Heath, for jumping in there. I like that. Okay, we're going to start on, like I said, start with the Old Kingdom, and that's when, remember, reviewing from last week, okay, we got into who was Narmer. Remember, Caleb, who was King Narmer, or Narmer?
He was the first king that united Lower and Upper Egypt.
First king to unite Lower and Upper Egypt. We start seeing a kingdom now. We start seeing a place where everybody is unified, okay? Instead of little villages here, little villages there. So now once we have this, now you start seeing things like what take place as far as structure. What kind of structures take place? Pyramids, okay, those are, and that's a good answer. Structures, you talk about physical structures. I'm talking about structures of culture and things like that. But good answer. Jacob.
Like kingdoms and
Kingdoms. What makes a kingdom run?
the kings and pharaohs.
Okay, so you have those, what are those people called in different groups?
Classes.
Social classes. So you're going to see social classes now. Because you have social classes, you have somebody to kind of have organized that or have an organization of that. What is the organization that kind of makes things run smoothly once you start getting these classes, these groups? What is it? Government, exactly, okay. Now, does Egypt have a democratic government? Do they vote for their president? No, they don't. What do they have? What do you have, Addison?
Dynasty.
A dynasty, okay. Explain dynasty to us in your best terms. And now it's not a soap opera from the 80s that me and Miss Johnson used to watch. It's ridiculous.
Like when your family just passed down power to each other.
Family passes down power to each other. So they had to become into power first, okay? So it was a father. Did they pass down to the daughters? Not generally. There was one or two, okay? And we'll talk about one most famous later. But most of the time it was male to male, okay? Father to son to grandson and so on and so forth, okay? They ran. They had ultimate power, correct? Okay, decisions were made by them. All right, so now we see the structure we have. We have a government that is ruled by a king or a pharaoh in this instance. You have, how did they live? What did they do? We talked about last week. What type of means did they perform to live during this time when they started becoming a kingdom? Doubt it? How did they live?
They had personal chefs.
Okay, let's talk about the whole kingdom as a whole. Let's talk about all the people. For the most part, how did they live? Thank you, John.
Not very wealthy.
Not very well. There was a couple wealthy, but think about this, guys. All right, what did they do? Okay, what did they do in terms of being able to survive? What did it change from as it was before when they were hunter-gatherers? They became farmers, okay? So now we have farming going on, so they learned to stay in one place. And then what took place then? What were some of the different things that happened from that point? McComas? Civilization took place. What happens in civilization? What happens in civilized places? You don't know what happens with the people, John?
Population grows.
Population grows. Why does it grow? How does it grow? Let's go back to why. Why does it grow? Because they become more civilized. You are on top of it. I tell you what. Guys, I know it's Monday. Wake up here. What has started happening? They weren't hunter-gathering. They were what now? Farmers. So now they were farming. They were able to stay in one place. Because of that, could everybody farm? No. What did others do?
They worked on farms.
And others did what?
Made weapons.
Made weapons. Okay. So these people were known as who? Starts with A. Artisans. Exactly. They specialized. Started making weapons, pottery, other kinds of different utensils that were needed. Now we're waking up a little bit.
There were people that were like writing.
Okay, so you had your scribes, exactly. Where was that on the social scale? Middle? Ken?
Right below the pharaohs.
Right below pharaohs, a little bit higher than the middle, because very few could write. What's that tell you about the education system at that time?
It wasn't very good.
It wasn't very good.
Not very many people knew how to read or write.
Not very many people knew how to read or write. That's true. Jacob?
It was a good education system, they just didn't have many people in it because they needed their children to work on the farms.
Okay, so that tells you that not many could get that education, and the few that did were who? Caleb?
Usually the sons of pharaohs.
Sons of pharaohs, the very higher class. That kept them up there as well. Remember, they wanted to keep their own families wealthy, so they kept them in higher class places, so they had them doing those things, okay? And that made it, that cycle kept going, okay? It kept them where they wanted to be in power. Remember this, okay? You may have heard this before. Knowledge is power, right? If you can't read or write, you're going to have a lot of knowledge.
No.
Okay, now you may have some good common knowledge, and trust me, I knew and grew up with and remember the old people that had a lot of knowledge that couldn't read and write about how to survive, how to farm and stuff like that. But still yet, at this time, those people who could not read or write hieroglyphics did not understand a lot of things. So if you could write that and read and understand, you had a leg up on everybody else. That kept you in that higher echelon or higher place among the society. And that's where they wanted to be. So they were able to keep their families. If I teach my son how to read and write, he'll stay up there, and then he'll be able to take care of his family, and my job is done. Yes?
Like the people that made the tools and pottery, did they make the village people like pay for it
Yeah, how did they pay for it?
with like food?
Food.
gold?
Exactly. They traded, didn't they? Okay, remember, what was that black land called? Or what was that black land? What was that? Kemet. And what was Kemet? Huh? Fertile soil. Okay, so that was that fertile soil on each side of the Nile that was able to be used for irrigation and for farming stuff. That's where your food come from. Everybody couldn't farm as the population got bigger, right? So because of that, those that started making those weapons and tools and stuff like that, they had to have food too. How did they get their food? Say again? Service. They did serve. They did work for them. The ones that we're talking about, those artisans that made things, how did they get food? They didn't get it all. They traded. Okay, so instead of trading money for something, which later on they may trade gold or something, they're trading food for either service or food for pottery or weapons or other tools, all these kind of things. So trade became big then. That became your economy, okay? That's how people got food, and that's how people got other things for their food. Remember, there's only so much farmland. So at that time, you had to do something else. You had to specialize. Yes, sir?
Back then, when they made like the tools and stuff, did they ever trade them with like animals
Yes. Why would you trade for an animal?
or food, or like sometimes they use them to carry water, carry other stuff like that?
What did the oxen do?
They pulled wagons and stuff like that.
Pulled wagons, Caleb.
They also used horses to get around a lot too.
Horses to get around. Avery.
They used the ox like to make roads in their garden.
Exactly. Using plows, didn't they? Okay. So the animals were not just for food, but they were also used for to make food in the irrigation part, in the farming part. They were multi-dimensional. Okay. You used them to work, and then when they were done, they became dinner. That was probably just not the prettiest way to say that, but maybe it was a tough little meat. But still, yeah, that's what happened. You used them to do the work they could. The ones that could, you really can't use chickens to pull a plow, can you? So, or smaller animals like that. But the ones you could use, you did use. And then at the end of their time, if you could use them for food or whatever, or trade them off, you did. Yes?
You still could use chickens,
How?
eggs.
Well, they did use eggs, exactly. They produced eggs. John, you're on. That's why I had you in here, buddy. Keep me on top. All right. So, we understand now this is the beginnings of Egypt. All right. We had the start of the civilization from the first people in the villages. Now we're going to go into this bigger form of an empire. Okay. Ancient Egypt empire. We're looking at what develops from there as far as pharaohs, kingdoms, and then you've got some religion we're going to look at, and then you're going to look at why embalming and mummification becomes a big power player. Okay? So look on page 47. Look at the timeline there. Give you an idea what we're looking at. 2600 BC. Remember, 3100 BC was the first time you started seeing the unification. So now, about 500 years later, we're looking at the first kingdom. Okay? And that spreads up and down the Nile River. Yes?
Oh, we don't learn about the pyramids.
Yes, we are.
Pyramids.
Yes, we are. What do you want to know about it?
All of
How
that.
they built them.
How they built them. Good question, because that was a mystery for years and years. Yes, we will. We'll learn about pyramids, why, the purpose of them, how they were built, okay, and why some are bigger than others. John? I know you know, John. What information is valuable. Let's keep it. All right. So you're looking at, you're seeing 2,600, we're looking about, in the first part of this chapter, about 300-year time span what we're talking about. Page 48, Old Kingdom Rulers. Read for me, Miss Bunch.